In the Philippines, the only Asian country that was part of the Spanish Empire, stands a colossal reminder of colonial days. A European-style citadel encloses a maze of streets. Join me as we visit a time when the Christian cross had the power of a sword.
I'm Jason Pomeroy, an eco-architect and urban planner, and I'm passionate about great cities. I'm travelling to a series of great cities and finding out how old and modern architecture give each city its special character.
Manila, the Philippine capital, is a catalogue of contradictions. Beset by squalor, yet always making progress. A churn of antiquity and modernity. Amid a global slowdown, the Philippine economy has rebounded, and Manila is again a hotbed of development.
I've had the privilege of designing many wonderful buildings in Manila, and here we are standing in 71 Grams, here in modern Makati, the epicenter of trade and commerce in the Philippines. But it wasn't always like this. Once upon a time, the center of Manila was Intramuros, and it has a very strong beating Spanish heart.
Intramuros was an immense colonial enclave. The Spanish colonized Manila in 1571, and as Spain's only Asian trading post, Intramuros was a western terminus of galleons departing Acapulco, Mexico. Trade brought wealth, and wealth attracted predators. So colonials walled themselves in. 6 meters high, the parapets of Intramuros stretched 4.5 kilometers, enclosing 64 hectares of what was once Spanish domain.
Here I am in Intramuros, and Intramuros means within the walls. This fortified city was built by Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, conquistador and first Governor General of Manila, who defeated Raja Sulaiman, the former leader. What's quite impressive by this is that actually the place was the seat of the Spanish colonial administration.
First stop, Plaza Mayor, the central square.
There are two key buildings that will actually front onto the square. On one side we have Manila Cathedral, the seat of the Catholic faith. And on the other side, Palacio del Gobernador, the seat of governance. Architect Villalon, thank you very much for meeting me here.
Through his column in a major newspaper, Filipino architect Augustine Villalon promotes the conservation of his homeland's heritage.
These were the centers of Spanish power, so church, the Governor General, who used to live here.
Right.
These were the symbols of Spanish colonialism. It was to spread the faith, and it was to govern.
As colonizers, the Spaniards had a strong sense of cultural mission. They were defined by their religion and approached their outposts with evangelical zeal. The arrangement of the city square reflected this characteristic of Spanish rule. The church established hundreds of missions and parishes throughout the islands. The Philippines became Asia's only Catholic country. Near Plaza Mayor stands the oldest church in Intramuros and all of Philippines, San Augustine. Works on the structure began in 1587 and was completed in 1604.
Just think, months at sea for friars and architects to finally arrive in Manila, having to create Baroque churches out of stone. What we have here is an example of European architecture, but with a twist. And the local labourers would actually infuse certain elements. Well, yes, we have certain European flavours, but we also get a flavour of the local in these food dogs, which also reference Chinese symbolism. this perfect marriage between East and West delivered in this incredible edifice.
St. Augustine Church is full-on Baroque, a souvenir from Spain's glory days when the empire was a powerhouse awash in gold, silver, marble and ivory.
This has all the hallmarks of a European church. You've got the nave, you've got the apse.
When it's time for the priest to preach, he walks up here to the pulpit and delivers the word of God.
What we're seeing are elements of the tropics still. I can really imagine a frustrated friar or architect scratching away at his head thinking, well, I want a European church, and what you're doing is actually giving me something that's very, very local, but that adds to the charm, a real eclectic piece of architecture.
The interior repeats a cruciform pattern with vaulted stone ceilings. And these ceilings have a breathtaking design.
That's so beautifully painted. I mean, it almost adds a further three-dimensionality to it. It almost kind of disappears away.
In French, the phrase is trompe l'œil. That means fool the eye. A phrase perfect for this display, which persuades the eye to see in 3 dimensions when there are only 2. The walls are adorned with religious symbols and motifs, blossoms, angels, creatures and rosettes. Soulful art for a holy place. Catholic liturgy has always emphasized music. Hymns, long ago in Latin, now in Tagalog and English, have filled San Augustine.
Every single time I come to the Philippines, I always seem to hear music.
Everywhere.
And I guess it all starts here. Singing is elevated, almost literally here.
When the priest in the main altar starts chanting and the organ and the choir up there respond, it's just a total experience. It just gets you.
It's like a rich cacophony of sound that's awe-inspiring.
Absolutely.
So that's maybe why you're such good singers.
Maybe so. I'd like to show you something. Come with me. It's this way. This is the tomb of the founder of Manila, the conquistador, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. He came to the Philippines from Spain through Mexico, founded Manila, and was the first governor.
You know, there's something quite striking about Legazpi in this pose. The sword of a soldier, of a conquistador, clutching the sacred cross.
Clutching the cross, which tells the story of why he's here.
So what separates the Spanish conquistadors from the Dutch, Portuguese and British colonists? Well, the Dutch, British and Portuguese were all about economic exploitation of the locals. But for the Spanish colonists, it was more than just economic exploitation. There was an element of cultural transformation. So, economic exploitation, religious conversion, territorial expansion, cultural transformation, a 4-pronged governance. The city fathers, the merchants, the soldiers and the friars all working in unison as a team to try and define a Spanish cultural identity.
In colonial times, people in this citadel lived vivid lives. We'll show you how when we come back. I am visiting Intramuros, a centuries-old city within a city that was once the hub of colonial Manila. The Second World War reduced Intramuros to rubble. Many residences were wrecked. Most of what we see now are structures that have been rebuilt to capture the flavour of Spanish rule. Casa Manila is a museum built to illustrate how people lived here in colonial times.
Dr. Laya.
Since the 1970s, Dr. Jaime Laya has been instrumental in the multi-sectoral efforts to rebuild Intramuros. Casa Manila is one of Dr. Laya's projects.
We're standing in a house that was supposedly built in the first third of the 19th century. The design itself was taken from the photograph of a house that used to be located in the business district across the Pasig River.
Casa Manila is a bahay na bato. In English it means stone house. It is so called because the foundation is made of stone and the upper level made of wood.
What I'm really interested in is to see how life was like in the past. So maybe you should lead the way.
This way.
Wow. This is wonderfully ornate. I wasn't expecting to see such lavish timber ornamentation.
This lavish lifestyle was typical among Spanish, as well as the wealthy and well-educated locals who were known as the ilustrado or enlightened class.
This would be the formal living room, the sala or salon.
Yes.
And this is not normally used.
So this would be a very, very formal space, only used occasionally.
Yes.
Embellishments were the norm, featuring local motifs like bamboo, palm fronds and banana leaves. With Intramuros being a trading post, the world was its department store.
The decor is really from all over the place. So you have European elements, you have Chinese, you have Japanese, and so on.
Dr. Lyer guides me through bedrooms filigreed with ornate design.
So this must be the master bedroom.
You guessed right. And so they went to all kinds of trouble to really make, for example, the elaborately painted ceiling.
Even just waking up and being greeted with angels and cherubs, I guess it will always put a smile on your face.
That's right.
Catholicism is one indelible mark the Spanish have left on the Filipino people. Since colonial days, houses often included chapels or altars. Many homes honour Jesus Christ or patron saints.
The altar, you'll notice the style is Gothic, and so even the ceiling paintings, the wall paintings are in trompe-l'oeil.
Religion is omnipresent. You are always having the Catholic faith very nearby.
Yes, in fact, in many houses, the most valuable pieces would be the saints.
Life in the tropics meant making adjustments to basic architectural design. These windows are a good example.
Well, glass was expensive during those days, and so a certain kind of shell, which we call capis, that became window panes.
And then you've got these shutters on the inside that will allow you to control the glare and also provide a bit of air to flow through as well.
And then at night, even if you close the windows for protection,
Yes.
you can open the shutters below, and you still have ventilation.
So why are we not designing like this today?
Well, we prefer air conditioning.
And a beautifully formal dining area. I guess this is where all the pomp and circumstance used to take place with large, lavish meals.
These fans do more than just drive the flies away.
Can I give this a go? So I guess then you've got the early air conditioning. Helper or servant who'll be able to work the fan to keep everybody cool. Honestly, in this sort of temperature, I could do with a fan like this.
Recreating a house like this and preserving that same sense of craftsmanship is not easy. Fortunately, there is a very special institution devoted to teaching these building crafts. The Escuela Telia was founded in 2009 on the initiative of the Spanish government to help revive Intramuros. The school teaches masonry, ironwork, woodworking and painting techniques to underprivileged youth. It offers 1 year of training for free.
So why a school of restoration techniques here?
Well, the Philippine government realized the need for taking care of our tangible heritage, and so with the assistance of the Spanish government, a project was initiated, and the idea was to revive the traditional crafts and arts necessary for the restoration of old structures.
One of the instructors, Jeffrey Cobilla, invites me into the woodcarving class.
I think I need to give it a go somehow.
Oh yeah, give it a try. That's just for marking the outline.
I think I can try that. So basically I just put... Okay, let's... No laughing. See, I'm not a master craftsman like you. I think I'd better stick to my drawing pens and the drawing board, I think. Thank you anyway. You know, it's wonderful to see schools like this because it shows how economically disadvantaged students can be given new skill sets as craftsmen and artisans. Hopefully these individuals will then pass on those skills to other people in the future, and hopefully we'll be able to look forward to celebrating Intramuros into the next millennium.
So much for life inside the walls. When we come back, we'll go to Extramuros, or outside the walled city, to experience another touch of Spain in the Philippines. Here in the Philippines, I am searching for echoes of Spain in the capital. Preserved for more than 300 years, Intramuros came to grief at the end of the Second World War. During the war, Manila became the second most devastated city in the world after Warsaw. Except for San Augustine Church, all of Intramuros laid in ruins. Some of Manila's oldest schools were levelled, but one university survived. Founded in 1611, the original campus of Santo Tomas was in Intramuros. In 1927, Santo Tomas was moved to Extramuros to accommodate the growing population of students.
If Intramuros was for the Spanish colonial elite, then Extramuros was, by and large, very different. This is outside of the city walls for the non-Spanish. But even still, there's a very staunch reminder that this was still a Spanish colony. This street is actually España Boulevard.
One enters the Santo Tomas University through the Arch of the Centuries. The school's patron saint is here. So is the two-headed eagle, emblem of the Habsburg kings of Spain. These symbols remind us that Santo Tomas is a royal and pontifical university chartered by both Spain and the Vatican. Ivan Henares is a champion of sustainable tourism and heritage conservation. He is here to show me around the 400-year-old institution.
Do you notice anything about the front? It's actually a 1954 replica because this is actually a back-to-back portal. Right. The one facing the main building is the original portal. And this is the last remaining piece of that original campus. They brought this arc here stone by stone.
A Dominican priest by the name of Miguel de Benavides is considered the founder of the university, although he passed away before the university was established.
He passed away in 1605 and he left behind his library and 1,500 pesos, which at the time was a huge amount of money.
So that's the starting point, I'm assuming, for the university,
yes,
with this big library collection.
Yes, he left the library and the money to establish an institution for higher learning.
So we owe a lot to this fine gentleman.
The original university only offered courses in theology and philosophy to young men. Now better known as UST, it is reputed to have one of the best colleges of medicine and law in the Philippines. At mid-campus stands the main building.
You know, if you think it's just religious buildings that are designed to give this sense of shock or awe or power and prestige, think again. Even educational facilities do the same. And here at Santo Tomas University, this building in itself is quite imposing. It's demonstrating a certain sense of power through education.
The main building was designed by Father Roque Ruano.
And pride of place in the middle of the building, who do we have here?
These 15 statues are actually representative of the spiritual and intellectual aspirations of the university.
In 400 years, Santo Tomas has educated many leaders like President Manuel L. Curzon and national hero Jose Rizal, alumni who had changed the fate of the country. But these walls have also witnessed dark times. In 1942, during the Second World War, Japanese forces invaded Manila. They converted the university into an internment camp. Non-Filipino civilians, mostly Americans and British, were rounded up and confined in the campus. Eventually, the spacious grounds became shantytowns.
Wow, so all of these sort of classrooms up here would have actually been converted into rooms for basically the internments.
That's right.
And then even the courtyard spaces then become places for camps.
That's right.
In 1944, American forces sent a task force to liberate the campus. In the process, the university buildings suffered light damage, but remained largely intact. Intramuros, on the other hand, was a wasteland by the time the Japanese surrendered to the Americans. It was a costly victory. The country lost one of its greatest legacies from Spain, the walled city of Intramuros. The Philippines, which until World War II was one of the wealthiest countries in Asia, became a shadow of its former self. Thankfully, though, we can see a new birth. We can see renewed interest in heritage preservation as Filipinos realize its tourism potential and cultural significance. It's also lovely to see buildings that I've been working on just springing up from the ground. I guess testimony to the city's wonderful economic transformation.